Okay. Hello, everybody. It is Brian, and I can see my audio. Okay, cool. Make sure stream rate is lower than the expected stream rate. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. It's Brian. It's Thursday, which isn't my normal time. Oh, are you gonna join the show? Oh, you're gonna pop right up there. Okay. Interesting. So I am here at home, and I've, apologies for not being here on Monday and, well, probably tomorrow, but we'll be on Sunday. I actually have expected that we'll be on with Miss Berlin and Mr. Betcher on Sunday for the first show of 2025. If you're watching it on YouTube, it's I'm testing out something, so sorry about the glitch. I am testing with the multi-stream, trying to change the stream. There we go. Let's see if that makes any difference. Give that a shot again. Anyway, to pull back the, there it goes. Pull back the curtain a little bit. I'm multi-streaming, but I'm doing it at different bit rates because I think that's what is causing the problem with Twitch. I set the bit rate too high for Twitch, so it kills the Twitch connection while keeping the YouTube one. And so the multi-stream that I have as a plugin for OBS has a setting that allows me to set two different bit rates. So for YouTube, you're getting 2K resolution. For Twitch, you're getting whatever the maximum resolution is. So yeah, so it is Thursday, and it's a short work week, and it has been a roller coaster. Coming back from the on-site in New York, my boy Q-Tip is not doing well, and he is 15 years old, and he has kidneys that are failing, and his blood work didn't come back positive today, so I don't know what that's going to look like in the next few weeks. we're planning accordingly. So he's my boy, and I've had him for a long time, and I want to make sure that if he goes, it's on our terms and that he is not suffering anymore. So we're weighing our options right now. So yeah, and on top of that, fires, good times, fires, good time fires. We have fires all over the place in the Southern California area. My new favorite app is this one called Watch Duty, which you can go and look at fires all across the country, but specifically California, I think gets the most love because it is currently what they consider to be, God damn it, fire. Okay, seriously, what the hell's going on? Anyway, it's app.watchduty.org. I don't know why I can't copy paste things with my keyboard, but it's not working. One of the joys of moving to a MacBook in this case is that doesn't always function very well. I have a Windows keyboard with Cherry MX keys, and I thought I hit the Apple/Window key to copy paste, but it didn't work. So let me see what I'm doing wrong here. Oh, there it is. Look, stop. Okay. Plus, I'm getting the hang of my MacBook M4 here again with the changes that had to occur. Anyway, so yeah, there are fires. There's a major fire going on that just started a couple hours ago in the border fire area. It's not near my house, but this is about the same area of San Diego and Southern California where the Witch and the Witch Creek fires occurred and burned 23,000 acres, and thousands of people were displaced of homes, and that was in like 2003, 2007. We're due for another firestorm, sadly. And then this one just popped up, which is in La Jolla, in that area of La Jolla, which every one of these houses is $2 to $5 million, very much like how the Palisades are. You've got a lot of old money there, a lot of folks that are being forced to evacuate. And yeah, and of course it shows you all kinds of stuff that's going on. I bought the version that I've got on my phone. I actually paid the yearly bit for, but it's a great situational awareness tool. If your organization is worried about, the fires or, it's near your house or what have you. And as you can see, a lot of these, they spark up pretty quickly, and you have like literally minutes to get the fuck out. Like the one in La Jolla, it was like, oh, it started and now we're issuing an evacuation. You got like, gives you a nice timeline. So you have, 221, 30 by 30 foot vegetation, heavy fuels, potential structure threat. Let me see, 221 by 220, let me see, spotted the fire West Gilman. Yeah, so by 20 minutes later, you're already getting an evacuation. So if you don't have a go bag or something, you should be looking at that right now. As a matter of fact, we're going to be making ours today. This is the last day of the big fire, of the big winds. We hit the maximum according to Weather Underground. Our maximum was hit about an hour and a half or 2 hours ago. And we're starting to taper off, and hopefully we'll get some rain this weekend, which will help with the fires and help with everything that is occurring. So yeah, fires are the suck. And so, they can appear to pop up anywhere. Some people have surmised that these are not being, somebody as careless as a cigarette butt is causing the issue, or, there's a lot of things, but this one started at the intersection of, we've got areas like this where it's just old growth or eucalyptus trees, which once they start igniting, it's, causes a lot of problems. So, but you're not here to hear about my fire issues. You're here to listen to me rant about some security news. Boy, did we have a ton of it. I know this is probably old news, but for those of you who are involved with and had watched the rant of Windows 10 going end of life, I thought, hey, no problems. Windows and Office and things will continue to work for the time being. Microsoft must have been watching the stream and they saw that and they're like, oh, wait, let's make it more difficult for people to continue to use Windows 10. And so certain Office apps on Windows 10 will die in October as well. So even more impetus for teams, companies to look at getting off of Windows 10 and onto Windows 11, or maybe like I just did, you are fed up with what Microsoft is doing and will drop support for Windows and you'll move to Mac. Or if you've got smart enough people in your office that can handle a Linux box, give them the options to use Linux. I think either way, you're going to have people that are going to continue to use Office products, Teams and what have you. Hey Walt, how you doing? I think there's a lot of people still using Office. I think the less you're on, tied into one ecosystem, I think the better. I mean, I'm using look at me, I'm using Internet Explorer, or not Internet, Edge browser on a MacBook. So, I mean, I'm not tied to Safari. I've tried using Mozilla. I've tried using, Chrome, and I was like, I like some of the power saving options that you get with Edge, so I've been using the Edge browser. Never been a fan of Safari. And so, sorry. Still got to keep an eye out on work here and stuff, so... The whole thing about, it says it will drop support for Office applications in Windows 10 after the operating system reaches into support on October 14th. So on 10/14, 360 apps will no longer be supported. I don't know exactly what that means. It says to use 365 applications in your device, you'll need to upgrade to Windows 11. That kind of sucks. If that's true. So if you have Office 2024, 2021, any of the Office suites, back to all the way to 2016, you're going to have to upgrade to Windows 11. My guess is that they've already pushed some updates or features that it's going to look at a version check, or it's going to look for something. I mean, they may try to bundle some stuff in to make it like, oh, we're going to use the advanced encryption capabilities of Office, Windows 11 to make things even better. But I don't understand the need for them to push people to Windows 11. Or to hamstring a lot of companies into moving to that. So given the amount of time and effort needed, it's going to be, you're going to spend money for hardware to upgrade all of your boxes from 10 to 11, or you've got laptops and services and servers that are new enough that you could potentially install Windows 11 on them properly. So you're going to either have to buy licenses for that, which is $200 a pop, and there are third-party TPMs that you can put on like the larger systems. Not sure about laptops, but there are TPM chips that you can buy that you can put in and get around this if you want to. So you're going to spend something, right? You're either going to upgrade your Windows 11, you're going to upgrade the entire chassis, which means you've got a bunch of boxes now that are going to need to be recycled. So you're going to need to investigate some sort of e-recycler or e-rebate system. Well, hold on, my co-host wants to get out. Hold on, I'll get you. There you go. All right. You're going to need to have, otherwise you're going to have, potentially thousands of heard good things about Zen. Yeah, okay. I appreciate that. Newish browser. It's probably based on Chrome or something like that. It is a want on Microsoft's part in their control. You're 100% Walt. You're 100% correct. They control the narrative here. You know, I imagine it's not going. I think you have to think kind of long term about this, and I hate saying that, but your options to keep something like this from happening again, and hopefully it's not like, oh, you have TPM 2.0, you're going to need TPM 3.0 in your next system, so Windows 12, which is going to come out next year, is going to need a completely new hardware refresh. I think that's another one of the concerns, right? Let's say you've upgraded all your boxes to brand new TPM 2.0 chips, because I think that's the minimum required version of TPM that's needed. Let's say Microsoft comes out with Windows 12 and, TPM 2.0 doesn't work anymore. You need TPM 3.0. And the only other option is to trash all of your brand new computers that you spent 2 years ago, all the OpEx in your budget to buy, and upgrade that. At some point, there needs to be some sort of assurance that that's not going to happen, but you're not going to get that from Microsoft. So you're going to have to kind of I don't want to say future-proof yourself, but you're going to have to make it so that you're not in this potential, like you got people buying the brand new iPhones or the brand new Pixels, like Pixel 10's coming out in October. It's like, I'm not going to upgrade my Pixel. I have a 9, I'm not going to go to a 10. There are people who are like that. Companies can't spend like that. You're not going to replace your entire fleet of systems every year. It's just not economically sound. So you're going to have to take back some of that narrative. You're going to have to, as much as there are two ways to go about this. It's you're going to stay on Windows 10 and you're going to lose support for Office and security updates. The other downside is, if you run on Office, it's just going to be one of those things where you're going to have to start budgeting for that. You could go to Mac like I did, which potentially would give you a longer lead time. Microsoft's not going to kick your computers, your MacBooks to the curb, but there is a learning curve for your employees. And if your employees are not technologically savvy, your IT folks are going to be fielding calls about where's my start button, or how do I get to my porn, or wait, not porn. That'd be a work computer. We don't have porn on work computers. How do I get to my Internet Explorer or whatever? Oh, we don't, we use Safari now. Or, some of your solutions may be Windows only. So software build outs that you use, like I lost a couple of Windows apps from the Windows Store, but so far everything I use is cross-platform. If you're a heavy development environment, VS Code works great. If you're already using that, a lot of code IDEs or stuff are cross-platform. So you're not gonna lose those so much. But there's going to be a learning curve for folks that have never touched an Apple device ever. I've used both Windows and Mac in the past. You could go to Linux. That's another option. Again, you're going to have your learning curve. Where's my start button? How do I get to Explorer? Where's my IE? I turned the FTPM on UEFI and it worked. Modern processors seem to have all the TPM stuff. I have heard that there is I don't want to say virtual TPM, but there is a TPM on chip. It really depends on if Microsoft's going to honor that, Walt. If you're in an IT shop and there's the ability in your UEFI to turn on your FTPM, which would you say with F? Yeah, firmware trusted platform module, function built into chipsets of modern AMD and Intel computers. Thank you, AI. FTPM provides the same protocols as a TPM without requiring a separate physical chip. I don't know how old your chips or how new your chips have to be for this. Let me see. Enable FTPM in the BIOS. It has to be in the BIOS, I would say. Yeah, AMD, where's that Intel FTPM? This may be a solution for some folks. If you bought within, I'd say, the last 5 years, you may have this. So here's a Reddit article from 6 years ago, no less. Which Intel processors support FTPM? So this will be good. So anybody who can tell them 6 years ago what chips were in here, anything newer on your systems, anything like a, let me see, Intel, I don't have any personal experience with it. It's a feature of the management engine. I don't know about that. Here's mini PCs. It's called PTT, and it's built into the chipset. Some manufacturers choose not to expose it in the BIOS for enablement since they think it should be a premium feature and don't want to support it. Oh, okay. So that's not a good post. Let's not look at that one. Here we go. So PTT and FTPM. Okay, 2021, they announced they would require TPM 2.0 for Windows 11. Yes, this has led to a fair bit of confusion about TPM and what that means for those looking to upgrade to Windows 11. In our Trusted Edge video, okay, I got a video. Great. Here. There's nothing simple about TPM. That fingerprint is then required to access any of the information. Hardware-based. Intel's PTT found in some Intel chipsets provide the same TPM security protocols without the need for an additional physical chip. Okay, so I'm going to post this in the chat for everybody to look at if you want to poke around and see about making that happen. The one thing I would say is if you've got goddamn, come on, man. I don't know why. Okay. Yeah, that worked. Okay, whatever. Okay, I cannot copy paste into OBS using Command-C, Command-V, but I can inside my browser Command-C, Command-V. Weird. I can right-click and paste anything into the browser. Maybe I should just use the chat in the window of my Twitch system there. But anyway. Test. You've got 10 months to upgrade. You should be able to test on whatever your bog standard is for your CEO. Will your CEO be able to upgrade to Windows 11? Figure out what your CEO or head managers or whatever have running on their systems. If they have something within potentially, what did he say, the last 2020. If you've purchased anything, I would say 2020, 2021, sometime in this decade, you might be all right. But I would say trust but verify. But I'm sure that there's going to be, if you haven't already been freaking out because of this news article about ending support for Office for Windows 10, thinking you're going to get away with another year of waiting for Windows 10. Not just as a security person, but your IT folks, you're going to look at OpEx and CapEx and all that for next year. It's like, are you going to need to, okay. And the article has a list of CPUs for AMD and whatever that have a chip, have an FTP chip, Windows 11 supported processors. I'm presuming that they're saying this is Windows supported because they do have the BIOS features that will allow you to do that. So if you have if you've got a Core 3, you're just doing horrible. Core 3, 7, i3. Yeah, so there's a lot of chips that are not new here that should be fine. Looks like anything, if you've got a decent, if you're giving your employees anything below an i5, you're mean. You're a mean IT department. So anything, I would say anything i5, let me see, copy. When did this come out? Let's see, CPU benchmarks. This came out around 2020. Okay, so the earliest i5 that I saw, or the oldest i5 I saw, was from July of 2020. So for you IT or security type folks, you may be okay. If you have anything older than 5 years old, I would say you're doing your own teams a disservice and probably should start looking at upgrading. I mean, I went 3 years on my system before I started looking at upgrades. I'm hoping this MacBook will last me 5, but yeah. So Very interesting. So yeah, that list is pretty good. Yeah, so there's a good number of Core i7, Core i9s. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff in here. So, I mean, it's probably, I would say, an exhaustive list because it's coming directly from Microsoft. I guess Microsoft in this case is like you're running on a 5-year-old machine, right? So, you know, even my own office, my own workplace was doing upgrades after 4 years. Unfortunately, I think the laptop they were going to give me was the exact same laptop. So I'm hoping, because I got that one in 2021, that it's new enough that it would have supported an upgrade to Windows 11. Which is why they decided to try to give me the same box instead of trying to upgrade me on Windows. So, I mean, there are some trade-offs if you want to move your fleet of machines. If you want to try to save another couple years of, you know, having to cost out your machines, you're looking at installing Linux in a bunch of boxes, which is going to cause additional time, and you're going to need some backup capabilities, some really robust backup capabilities that you're going to have to teach your employees how to use. I mean, there's a lot of additional costs in just, you know, upgrading an OS or changing an OS in that case. Welcome to IT time with Brian, you know. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to think about if you're seriously. God, I hope that's not a fire. I will be right. Answer the fucking door. All right, so I'm gonna go down and see who's at my door. Let's see which neighbor that is. Hopefully it's not the fire department telling me to get the fuck out. Okay, I don't know who that is. It says canvasser, so hopefully my Bluetooth hasn't died. I don't know who that was or was about, but we'll see. Okay, sorry about that. Somebody knocked on the door, and let me check my watch duty to make sure that it's not, oh, hey, you've got a fire in your area, get the fuck out. Okay, nothing that I can see in our area. Yeah, sorry about that. Good times. So anyway, yeah, update your systems. Get ready for the suck. I think it's important for, you know, even security people to understand what it means when we're going to, let's say your IT department does go that nuclear route and say, yeah, we're not going to run Windows 11, or we're not going to upgrade these boxes. We're going to dump everything to Mac. We're going to dump everything to Linux. So, yeah. So, what else did they say? In a separate document spotted by The Verge, the company says Office apps will continue to work even after the support ends, but customers will encounter issues until they upgrade. So you're going to get some nagware. Just something to think about. You're gonna, hey, wouldn't you like to upgrade to Windows 11? Yeah, after that date, it will continue to function. We strongly recommend upgrading to avoid performance and reliability issues. Ew, that's gross. That's gross. Wouldn't it be funny if they added like a 5-minute timer where it starts crashing things randomly, where you're working on something and, oh, I've got this PowerPoint, and it's like, oh, it died. That would be real shitty. That would be real shitty. I'm not saying they'd do it, but, you know, you hear stories about, you know, Apple was doing something where they were modifying their iPhones to make it so that over time they were less performant. Maybe people start taking benchmarks right now on Windows 10 boxes, so that when that happens, they can find out if, well, the same box, you know, they're gonna push things. Maybe that's gonna cause issues, right? So it will be interesting. It will be interesting to see what happens there. Mandatory requirement. Windows 10 end of support is rapidly approaching. Yeah. And I guess the other option you have is you can go into the long-term servicing branch for Windows 10 and get that. That would be an additional cost. there, sorry. So they do have, long-term servicing channels if you wanted to go that route, assuming you have enough. Oh crap, what is that? Sorry, I am literally can hear this in my nightmares now. That little ba-doop, 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 ba-doop. Okay, good. So far so good. No updates for me. Literally, one of the reasons we picked the house that we picked was because it was far enough west that we didn't have to deal with all of the open area in fire areas and fire-prone areas. So Walt said, well, they had timers in Windows 98 to slow things down. See, I didn't know it was. Okay, I didn't know about Windows 98, but I did remember hearing a story that they were slowing down like iPhones or something, or making them less performant so that people would be more likely to want to update there. So talk with your security people, talk with your IT people. If you're an IT person, you need to talk to security. Security can talk to IT. Talk about what it's going to look like to upgrade Windows 11, because you're going to need some potential backup solutions if you don't have those for your customers. If your employees need to do backups of their bookmarks and all that, are they able to do that, right? Are they able to back up their devices on, their stuff onto file servers, or are you using Dropbox or Google Drive or Time Machine if you've got a Windows box, a MacBook? So, shit, what is this? Voicemail, transcript not available. Okay. Sorry, just every time I see that, it's just, these fires can happen anywhere. So, there was, what was this? There was if you're running Windows Server 2022, apparently they have fixed a bug breaking device boots. So, something called NUMA is a computer memory architecture for multiple processors with the same shared memory pool for high-speed connections. And there was apparently an issue in this document here where if you run the updates, there's some confusion about being able to boot up. So in September, they fixed a known issue causing Server 19 boot problems, freezes, and performance issues. And then 2 months later, addressed several bugs causing installation, upgrade, and blue screen of death issues on a Server 2025 device with a high core count. So if you have potentially a high, really, really big data center type, core 30, 40, 50 CPUs, so they're having issues. So they fixed that. Sounds like they're also working on a separate fix there. But yeah, it's a complicated piece of software. So for Apple, it was to avoid overheating or overtaxing old batteries. Yeah, that they would last longer as they aged. Whether you believe them is another question. Yeah, I know they got smarter about how they do charging of systems. Even Amazon's done this, or not Amazon. Even Android's done the same thing, where it's you plug it in and it's got smart charge, so it will not charge up to like 900, or 90% in 10 minutes or something, unless you need it. They have slower charge. It's more of a trickle charge. It's, it'll charge up to 80% really fast, kind of like EVs, like Walt, like yours. Hey, Sis Element. Hey, thanks for subscribing. Wow. Okay, my ticker went up one, so I actually have a goal of 15. I actually set a goal, so I'd love to get back to where I've got, some people subscribing, if at all possible. You can still use Amazon Prime Gaming if you have it for free every month. You still have to do it every month, unlike a subscription. But thank you, Sis Element. Appreciate you. Great. Let's see. Okay. So yeah, if you've got a Server 2022 that needs updates, You probably need to upgrade to Server 2025, I think is the latest version. So, keep an eye out on that. You may end up running into the same issues you had with Windows 10 to 11, where you're going to need to have a proper TPM or something like that. This large core issue feels like it's going to be fairly specific. Like, if you're running high performance computing, you're going to have the configuration that is going to cause this issue. But some people still have bare metal. Some have big iron, as they call it, and so they're running, Windows servers with large cores on them. And yeah, so you've got that. You'll go and patch all your shit. In that case, if you're running into startup issues or boot up issues, I'd assume once it's gotten started, you don't have to necessarily worry about it. Is it a race condition? What is it? Appreciate you, SysElement, thank you. And shout out to GoPro Slowyo yesterday. I joined his stream for a few minutes when I was troubleshooting what's going on here. And so, yeah, shout out GoPro Slowyo. My new iPhone allows to pick up a max of 80 to 100% charging, just like in my EV. Yeah, my new MacBook is supposed to, once it analyzes how I use the system, to charge up to like 80% unless I need more, and then it won't charge up to 100%. Like right now, what I've been doing is going to 100% and then letting it drop down all the way to 0, which normally takes about 15 hours of continual use. I have it plugged in right now, but if I unplugged it, then it would slowly drop down. I'm really impressed by the length of battery. I'm sure that will drop off at some point, but ideally I'm trying to keep the battery in as good a state as I can. I'd love to limit it to 80%, but I haven't allowed it to automatically kind of do that. I've been setting it to low power so it doesn't break the bank. Plus I've been doing some benchmarking here. So right now with my OBS, which is doing two different streams at two different, resolutions. One is at whatever Twitch does. I think it maxes out at, 2K, and then I'm doing a proper 2K with YouTube. So my GPU, which I think is like 40 cores, and then my CPU is like 18 cores or something like that. So that's not bad. It's not bad. It's doing better than average. So just doing it 2K resolution. But yeah. Yeah, patch your stuff if you're in a high computing place that's using Windows for large amounts of cores. So that way you can protect yourself once it's started up and running. As long as you don't turn it off, which I'm assuming in a high performance computing area, you're loath to actually turn it off anyway. But if you have to run updates, you're going to reboot the boxes so that then you run into your boot issues. So this is ugly. This one got real ugly real quick. I follow April Murdoch, who we've had on the show, along with her and Doug Levine from the K-12-6 ISAC folks. There's a piece of software called PowerSchool, and it is used in a lot of organizations, educational, because that's the name of it's called PowerSchool. Runs Java. That's not pertinent to this article, but it runs Java. So there's a hacker who basically owned up this. It feels like it's in the style of very much like an EMR or medical record system. So everybody in all the schools will log in to this one system and dump all of their student records, personnel records, teacher records, student stuff, social security numbers, everything. So of course it got hacked. Of course it did. So anybody in kindergarten, has had their social security number stolen and has probably got credit cards and stuff, pulled out against it. But so there's a hacker who breached the education tech giant PowerSchool and claimed an extortion, attempting because 62.4 million students and 9.5 million teachers pretty much got everything stolen from them, all their personal identifying information. It is a cloud-based solution, provides K through 12 in districts, tools for enrollment, communication, attendance, staff meetings, learning systems, pretty much everything to run a school. On January 7th, they disclosed it had suffered a cyber attack after a threat actor used stolen credentials to access a company's power source customer support portal. So, stolen credentials that, either password reuse, somebody used their, school education at, .edu email address to do something with, the password is let me in or whatever. Somehow they got a hold of that. I don't know where they got it from, if it was an Ashley Madison kind of thing, or if they used it, to sign up for newsletters or something like that. So using this access, threat actors utilized a support maintenance access tool to download student and teacher data from the databases. So they dumped the databases. And I want to believe that PowerSchool has security people. I want to believe. And I want to believe that those PowerSchool security, information security risk people were like, yeah, we don't want this kind of access. In my mind, I'm working there, and the things I tell them is, hey, don't do this. It's stupid. We're going to open ourselves up to these issues. PowerSchool's like, okay, yeah, so what? Who's going to hack us? That kind of thing. So, as first reported and seen by Bleeping Computer, the FAQ stated that sensitive information such as social security numbers, medical information, and grades were stolen. Who gives a shit about grades? For K-12 schools, whatever, was stolen for a subset of students in subset. 62.4 million is a subset of how many students are actually in this system. Now, the one thing I would say is it sounded like, from what I had first seen, this is based over several years. So if you just graduated high school a few years ago and your school used PowerSchool, your social security number's probably been owned. And, whatever grade you got in PE and your less than perfect attendance record. They paid the ransom because, not only did the database get dumped, it probably got encrypted as well. And so they had to pay the ransom to prevent stolen data from being leaked privately. Okay, great. It says, while the company showed more transparency in the private customer FAQ than other security disclosures, they have not provided specific numbers to how many students and teachers were impacted by the breach. So somebody surmising that this number is the number that is in the list. Okay, so Bleeping Computer got more information. Okay, so I read the Bleeping Computer article. I didn't read the Bleeping Computer article. I read what had been put out by April Murdoch and the ISAC folks. So Toronto, Peel, I don't know, Dallas Independent, that's not small, holy shit. Calgary, Memphis, Shelby County School, San Diego Unified. Oh, that's my backyard, y'all. Charlotte Mecklenburg, I'm assuming that's North Carolina, and Wake County. Wake County, I don't know where that is. Those are really large school districts, and it looks like that's just a subset. Or these are the people that have been notified. It should be noted the numbers for Canadian school boards tend to be larger than U.S. as the boards govern all these schools in a specific region in Canada. Okay, so Toronto is basically the entire, province, or like a large metropolitan area versus Toronto proper. So it may be Toronto and the surrounding areas. So San Diego Unified in this case is just the city of San Diego and not like all the surrounding, so for instance, you have San Diego, which is this small area, versus the greater San Diego area, which would be, this large area down here, all the way down to the border, in Chula Vista and whatever. So Toronto might encompass all of this area, for instance, whereas San Diego Unified, maybe that's just a small area. Just to give you an example. So it said, while PowerSchool would not comment on specific numbers as its investigation is still ongoing, they actually don't have a full accounting. They just assume everything's been owned. They did stress to believe in computer the type of data exposed varies per district. Interesting. Hey, Mike. So far, so good. We are safe from the fires. As I put the watch duty map up. This is the only one that is threatening San Diego proper, and that's La Jolla. It's called the Gilman Fire. And then there's another one out here east, super east of San Diego, which wouldn't be threatening us right now. For full disclosure, the blue dot is me. That's where my house is. I'll try not to zoom in too far so you can, see me in my backyard in my underwear in the pool or whatever, according to whatever Google Maps has. But so far, so good. So far, so good. We're hoping for the rain this weekend, and thank you for asking there, Mike. Digital warhead. So it says the company also have both cloud-based and on-premise SIS customers. These districts self-host their databases. The data review is more complicated as they require the district to share information for analysis. Okay, so PowerSchool has an on-prem solution, so they send you a box and it's got all of the stuff in it, kind of like they send you a WordPress in a box or a school PowerSchool in a box, and it boots up, you get a DHCP server, and then all of the data for your school goes into the local spot, kind of like Azure used to be, whereas like you could have on-prem DCs for domain controllers, and then you would send data up to your Azure. Here, apparently, you can decide what you want to share and what you don't want to share. So some schools would be like, we're going to do all of our stuff on our on-prem service, but we're also going to send it all to PowerSchool for backup, disaster recovery, business continuity, whatever, in case ours fails here. Other schools would be like, I just want the box. I'm going to send you, analytics, which is, how often are people, or school attendance in percentages, how 85% of our sixth graders are showing up to school or not, that kind of thing. And there we go. Sorry, my laptop died. What about her? What's the story here? Okay. So yeah, PowerSchool sounds fairly complicated. PowerSchool, we understand large and feel important. Yeah, we deeply care about our students. Yeah, whatever. We have to say this because the legal lawyers are trying to make us sound like we care. PowerSchool offering 2 years. Ooh, 2 years of credit monitoring. Wow, even better. So your kindergartner is going to be okay until about first grade for credit monitoring services. 2 years of complimentary for all applicable students and educators whose information was involved. Wow, such how magnanimous of them. We're doing this regardless of whether an individual's Social Security number is exfiltrated, meaning we'll do this regardless whether or not we're required to by regulation. Okay, whatever. Yeah. So the other issue is how far back does the data go? Some states require them to hold data for X number of years after student has graduated. So you could be 20 years old in college and now your credit's ruined because somebody's taken out a credit card on your Social Security number because of something you went to a school that didn't secure that data in the back end. So yeah, interesting problems here. Looks like CrowdStrike also did the investigation. When asked when the report would be available, PowerSchool said CrowdStrike's working to finalize the report. It will be made available to customers when completed. So hopefully somebody will leak that to the media. I imagine it'll be a more generic report, not like, hey, here's how your school was affected. There may actually be a section on how your school is affected. It wouldn't actually surprise me if... okay, cool. 2 minutes ago. Okay, looks like they're getting a handle on that fire. Forward progress has been stopped at 2 acres. Yay, the Gilman fire has been stopped at 2 acres. So that's the situational awareness tool. So yeah, they say forward progress has been stopped at 2 acres per incident command. What you don't see on my screen when you pay for the yearly thing, and this stream has been brought to you by Watch Duty. You see like where the travel of the helicopters and the drop ships who are dropping water on things. You get a little more, you get like what so like for that fire that's in the border fire here, you see where all the planes are flying to and from, and the helicopters, and whether they're, the 747 dropping flame retardant and everything. But yeah, I found this on Reddit. People were like, yeah, the San Diego Reddit was like, yeah, get this app, And my thought was, I'll get it because if I find out 5 minutes before I get a phone call from San Diego saying, hey, you need to get out now, that's 5 more minutes I had to prepare instead of, GTFOing when it's like too damn late. So, that's my whole thought of getting that. Anyway, Power School set up a dedicated website. So December 28th. Okay, so while everybody was out on school holiday, somebody left the lights on and a hacker got in. So, but yeah, 2 years of credit monitoring, whatever. Seriously, just what the fuck ever. I mean, great. Your 8-year-old kid's, social security number's been, leaked because of your ineptitude. And now the parents have to worry about that for the next, 25 years? You got to put credit locks on your 8-year-old's social security number? Jesus. Hope to God my daughter doesn't have to deal with that shit. She's 19. I need to find out if her company or if her school had that. But yeah, not good. The way April Murdoch and them were talking, it could be any number, hundreds of school systems in the U.S. as well, or overseas, not just Canada and the U.S. So we've been a fan of Right to Repair. We've been talking about it for years. This is an interesting article I found online about a medical device company that has basically told hospitals they're no longer allowed to fix the machines that they have. In this case, it is a company that they're increasingly forcing hospitals into maintenance contracts with cost manufacturers, driving up the cost. So what it is up until now, this company called Terumo Cardiovascular has a device, a heart-lung machine. So when you're doing open heart surgery, all of your vital functions have been taken over by this machine. It pumps the blood, it breathes for you while you're dead because your heart stopped, right? So this thing is the only thing keeping you alive. It is very expensive, obviously, 6 figures. And the company has said, hey, you've got hospital technicians that can repair radiological equipment, and you have 5 of these open heart lung machines, and you do 5 open heart surgeries a day or whatever. You've got technicians that can fix them for you instead of us having to come out and fix it for you. Well, the cardiovascular company has decided we're not going to allow you to be certified to fix our stuff anymore. So the mechanic can't change the oil on a Porsche anymore. You have to hire Porsche to come in and do that for you. Now, I use that example because it's like, oh, I have a Tesla. I can't just take it to a Jiffy Lube and have them, replace a Tesla part. I have to go to Tesla's mechanic shop, even one that is Tesla certified, and pay whatever Tesla will pay because I can't drive my car. So what they said is, they're going to discontinue the certification courses, and they will no longer offer the classes for repair and or preventative maintenance of System 1 or its components, with the idea that hospitals are now going to have to pay the company for them to come out, or if you have enough of their devices on site, maybe you have a dedicated asset that will go and do preventative maintenance or what have you. Obviously, this sounds not good, right? So it'll mean they'll no longer teach hospital repair techs how to fix and maintain, and will no longer certify in-house hospital repair technicians. They will continue to provide direct servicing for System 1 and its components. Who says it's a reasonable freaking change? Oh, assholes. Why did 404 do that? I thought I had the full article up here. Damn. Crap. Okay, let me go back. Terumo medical certification. Anyway, so I was thinking about that, and I thought I must. Oh, you know what? I probably did. Yeah, I know what I did. This could get ugly real quick, and I'm saying this in a way that I'm thinking about it. If everybody has Cisco devices in your building, in your IT shop, you have Cisco devices. Cisco decides you can't maintain your own stuff. And it's fairly flimsy here, but it's like, if you're a CCNA, you get your vendor certifications to be able to properly administer Cisco devices. And let's say your Cisco device has router oil or something that has to be preventatively maintained, or, you can't touch your Cisco boxes anymore. You've got IT folks that can't do those kinds of things. What's this? Yeah, so Walt says, good luck if the machine goes down on the day of your operation, or worse, if the machine goes down on while you're hooked up to it. You're dead, right? My concern about companies like this is how many of these devices do they have? Do they have the personnel to support a global fleet? Or what's going to happen is they're going to outsource that to a third party that will come in, and so it's not the hospital IT techs doing it, it's going to be some other company that they're going to contract with, because if you live in the middle of, let's say, Bozeman, Montana, is this hospital, is this medical device company going to have an office in Bozeman, Montana? Probably not. You're either going to have to pay to have somebody in the area who's going to come by every month, and what happens if there's an emergency breakage? You just can't do open heart surgeries that month. Like Walt said, you're gonna get bumped, or you're gonna have to get air flighted to a functional cardiovascular system. And I did not spend a lot of time auditing hospitals, but I did hear enough stories about how thin the margins are for hospitals, where if you're in a rural area, you're going to kowtow to every doctor, because if the doctor leaves, you just all of a sudden don't have a gynecologist, or you don't have a endocrinologist, or they're going to go to a big city where they're going to make more money, or they're not going to come out to be at your small clinic or what have you. What's this? Sorry. Doghouse Junction, Otay Mountain. Okay, cool. Alvarado Fire. Okay, cool. So the same thing with, like Cisco. Let's say you're a company and Cisco decides your CCNA is no longer useful. We're not going to offer certifications for Cisco anymore. Your CCIEs and all that stuff for administration purposes, no good. We're going to either remotely administer those for you, which opening up your administrative interfaces to the internet has always been a great idea for companies like Cisco and Fortinet and Blue Coat and F5 and all those. Or we're going to come out every month and fix it for you. You're either going to take your CCNA and you're going to work directly for Cisco, which means you'll no longer work for your company, or you just won't be certified in Cisco. And in this case, you're no longer going to be certified as a Terumo cardiovascular System 1 heart-lung machine. Or if you want to keep your certification, you go work for the cardiovascular company, maybe for more money, to make it happen. Yeah, John Deere, exactly. And I want to say they just did a summary judgment for John Deere. We talked about John Deere a little while ago, how farmers were actually going on like Russian websites to download dumped firmware so that they could do right to repair. They could unlock the firmware for devices. Yeah, so this one just came out 2 days ago, as a matter of fact, right? Yeah, 2021. FTC filed lawsuit against John Deere over equipment repair practices. This is not the first time they've done this, though. Apparently, the lawsuit filed Wednesday morning in the state of Illinois and Minnesota alleges Deere and Company throttled the ability of farmers and independent repair providers to repair John Deere equipment, leaving farmers wholly reliant upon John Deere's network of authorized dealers for many key repairs. So yeah, there you go. I mean, I could definitely see an FTC lawsuit against Terumo because you're throttling the ability of hospitals to repair equipment that up until you're no longer certified. Well, I was certified yesterday. Has the device changed in any way in the last day and a half that means I couldn't fix it if I wanted to? No, but we're just not going to give you access to buy replacement parts or do upgrades yourself, or, as we know, most hospitals have really secure networks. So, if you're going to do upgrades to your heart and lung machine, you're going to have to connect it to an internet connection, which gives it exposure to the internet so that we can push down those updates for you. It's completely secure. And then you've got hackers owning up heart-lung machines and holding people hostage. I'm fudding. I'm really fudding here, but that would be a nightmare scenario where it's like they've ransomwared the heart-lung machine and they turn it off during an operation. Somebody dies. It's not outside the realm of possibility. I would say hospital networks are holy enough, holy, H-O-L-E-Y, not that they could have that happen anyway. But yeah, it's hospitals have much higher liability issues, so not having certification is a bigger risk. Well, they won't have any certification, right? They will have to find the budget to buy whatever support contract Terumo is going to offer them, and it's going to be either 24/7, 8/5, 365, something, number of visits a year. And what happens if they have an option? It's like, well, every 6 months they'll come out and they'll do upgrades, they'll do fixes, but it's going to cost a lot extra if the machine breaks. There's a lot of issues that I can see happening here with this, and I hope that it's not like we don't see something in the news. I actually want to set up like a Google alert or something to, like Terumo cardiovascular, and if something pops up, it's not like patient dies because machine broke during operation, or FTC files suit against Terumo, cardiovascular because of right to repair, which I could definitely see. Well, I hope that the FTC, I can't imagine anything in this new administration, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually dropped eventually. So legal repair restrictions can be devastating for farmers who rely on affordable and timely repairs to harvest their crops and earn their income. So replace farmers and crops and income would be illegal repair restrictions can be devastating for hospitals who rely on affordable and timely repairs to machines so that they can do open heart surgeries on people and save lives, said Lena Khan, FTC chair. So, today's FTC action ensures that hospitals across America are free to repair their own equipment and use repair shops of their choice, lowering costs, preventing delays, and promoting fair competition. I think when I saw this on Reddit, the first thing I thought of that somebody had said was, well, they'll just buy another heart-lung machine. People don't know a lot about product management in that case. This may be, and they're not a monopoly, they may just be the only game in, only company that is actually making something like this. It takes a lot of money to design and create a heart-lung machine. And on top of that, it's going to be cheaper for them to buy the support contract than it will be to go, oh, Terumo, come and get your, your heart and lung machine. We're going to go with Joe Bob Billy's heart lung machine over here. That is, another 6-figure machine. So, replacement is not as easy as people think in this case. Rip and replace for hospital equipment. If you're used to using this version or this heart lung machine, and then you go to something completely different, it's not that easy to rip and replace. So, and of course, your options may be limited. You may not have, or the newer version of your machine that you've had forever may actually be more expensive. So it's, it's one of those things. Yeah. So, yes, router oil. I was trying to think about that. It's like Microsoft could do the same thing. It's like, you can't patch your own machines, or, anything that security and IT people would understand in terms of specialized equipment. And the first thing I thought of was like Cisco, not being able to manage your own stuff. Arguably we're at that point in many cases for some folks, but your patch management tools or anything like that, if you get a vendor specification or vendor certification that allows you to operate on something, and all of a sudden that company's like, your certification is garbage starting tomorrow. And, then it's like, well, what are we going to do? Well, you got to get a support contract with insert company here, and we're going to promise to come out, and we're really going to do a good job for you. And yeah, that'll work great until you get somebody you can tell has never been on a call before. Auditors, same thing. It's like you can't audit your own PCI environment. You got to bring in a third party to audit it for you, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a whole big mess. So yeah. By the way, I'll post this up. Let me copy and I will paste this. Actually, I'm going to paste this into the website. There's that. Sorry, router oil was the only thing I could think of. Nuts and bolts. Maybe you can't rack your own Cisco devices. Maybe somebody's got to come in and rack them for you. Or run the cabling for it. I can see that from a union type position where the local, i.e., International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, you can't run your own networking cable or something like that. It's got to be done by a qualified union representative or something. This was cool. Not security related, but nuclear fusion people are they're setting more records. So 1,006 seconds I think is 20 minutes, and the reason that this is so let me see what they say. Oh no, wait. So it's 1,066 seconds. Okay, so it's not, they got it wrong in the title. 1,066 seconds, shattering the world record currently of sustained fusion reaction by 1,200 seconds. So 1,066 seconds is, there's 3,600 in an hour. So 20 minutes, a little over 20 minutes of time, about 20 minutes of time, with a stable fusion tokamak plasma operation. So pretty cool. It did come from China, so hopefully they've verified that that's a legitimate thing. But yeah, so the 1,000-second mark is considered a critical threshold for fusion research. Sustaining plasma for extended durations is essential for demonstrating feasibility of operating fusion reactors. The article I don't think mentions if they were net positive on that. So it's did they generate power? They can sustain a plasma reaction. Did they actually get any output from it? Which I know that they've been able to do with others, but they haven't. They didn't mention that here, I don't think. So it's pretty cool. Just from a nuclear fusion side, they didn't blow anything up. They didn't create a wormhole to another galaxy or anything like that. So that's always good. And hopefully, somebody will, hopefully there'll be a nice rivalry between them and iTer to be able to, oh, now we've got, 2,000 seconds, or, we have 4,000 seconds or something. If they can get it for more than an hour, that would be great. They could, charge up batteries using the excess energy and then, turn that off or what have you. 180 million degrees, that's a little warm. That'll probably toast your Pop-Tart a little bit if you held it nearby. And like hold your Pop-Tart near the tokamak, and a lot of interesting discussion about that. So about what a tokamak is, and it's a toroidal system that confines the plasma to these magnetic rings or electromagnetic rings, creating a almost like a spherical magnet that diverts the plasma into a donut shape or a torus. So, but yeah, there's a lot of good information. You can start out with Wikipedia if you would like to know more. So there we go. Doink. Doink. There we go. Hey Mike, how's the internet connection over there on YouTube? I'm testing 2 different bit rates across my machine here. Let me see how warm my box is too. Oh, I won't lie to you, my laptop has finally warmed up. One of the other things about the MacBook that I have is there's no fans. There's no fans for it, so it does have a temperature. I should have my IR thermometer that I can poke at the bottom of it. It is warm to the touch, but it's not overly so. I actually have something propped up the front of it so that it can have as much airflow as possible. But there's no fans. That's the other thing that got me about it. It's plugged in, but there's no fans. And my laptop, if I was doing this on my old Lenovo, would probably be sounding like a jet engine right now. So the fact that it's completely silent blows my mind. So if you have BitLocker on your Windows 10 or Windows 11 box right now, here's some nightmare fuel for you. So somebody figured out how to bypass BitLocker. And I will post this article up. Very interesting write-up, very complete write-up, by the way. You will learn more about BitLocker than you ever thought possible. And so, yes, they can access your files. No, they don't need to disassemble the laptop. Apparently, all you need is, you don't even need a screwdriver. It's like a network connection, and that's pretty much it. So they said they'll guide you into a deep dive into the BitPixie vulnerability, which is... shit. I didn't want that. All right, so Control, open a new link. There we go. So this is the GitHub write-up for it. They said this is, what would they say? This vulnerability has existed for 17 years. The earliest known build was introduced into 6.0.5231.2 from October 2005. And this has to do with secure boot integrity validation, a downgrade attack that would still work to exploit this vulnerability. So it's a 17-year-old vulnerability. If you want to get around your BitLocker, to be honest, I haven't had BitLocker engaged on my Windows boxes for a long time. Don't really see a need for it in my case. I'm not saying I have nothing to hide. It's just if it's easy enough to get around and it's 17 years old, I'm not overly worried. My risk is not such that I need to necessarily be concerned about it. So, doink. There you go. It's a GitHub for that. I should say, if you in your work environment, you should definitely use it. Obviously somebody who's going to be skilled is going to get access to the BitLocker regardless. But yeah, so this person whose name is, I forget, Thomas. Good job, Thomas, for finding this and actually going through the process on how to do it. Excellent write-up. He says, before discussing the exploit, let's review some BitLocker basics. So, you've got some nice diagrams here. measurement and pins. Here's your TPM, which we talked about earlier from Windows 11. I thought that perhaps this was one of the reasons why they were trying to they're trying to encourage people to move to Windows 11 because of the use of TPMs or TPM on chip, like what Walt had mentioned, the FTPMs or the CPU TPMs. But that's not necessarily the case. So the disk has all of the encrypted keys, and your bootloader is unlocked. And so step one decrypts the VMK with the TPM. So if you don't have a TPM, that might be why you need to upgrade, because your BitLocker is probably based off of something that is located not in a secure place. So if you have TPM on chip or you have a TPM module, dedicated TPM module, I would hope that this is why they're trying to encourage people to move to Windows 11 for the hardware portion of it. Or some machine that was built within the last 5 years that has a TPM on the chip. So they said, very simplified, the disk stores 4 pieces of distinct data. So the volume master key, or the VMK, which is this one here, the encrypted volume master key. The full volume encryption key, or the FVEC. I don't know if that's the technical term or whatever. And the encrypted data, which contains the kernel, drivers, software, and all user data. And so the write-up, I actually read all the way down through to, let's see, I got to this point here where they were talking about the platform and the UEFI, boot configuration data, and all of this stuff. So it's an interesting read, and it's 37 minutes, so I'm not going to read through all of it. But this is, walks you through exactly how everything works. UEFI checks the digital signature of the bootloader, so boot manage fw.efi using the secure boot magic. Once verified, UEFI chain loads the bootloader from the unencrypted portion of the disk. So the bootloader is the only unencrypted part of the disk. If you've ever installed Linux anytime recently, you realize that there's a /boot, which is the bootloader, which exists on the disk in a manner that, so when you do like your default Linux install, you have / and then you /boot, which would be unencrypted. But if you pick an encrypted Linux like system like LVM or something like that with encryption, it will encrypt everything but the bootloader in this case, so that it actually can boot the system. And if I'm incorrect, Walt, or anyone else who's watching, please tell me I'm an idiot. But that's my understanding of how this is working. So yeah, and then it goes through talking about decryption has protectors, and on each can be used to derive the same VMK, this is like if you've ever installed, if you have BitLocker on your system, one of the things you had was your recovery key in case you bork your system and you have to move the hard drive to another computer, which is one of the arguments that I had for not putting BitLocker on my own boxes. If I rip out a hard drive from one computer and put it into another, I have to know this key to be able to decrypt that drive on another box, which is a pain in my ass. So I was like, I just want to be able to move things over in a more quick manner, in a quicker manner. And obviously you can do recovery, like you can upload this key to your Microsoft.com account and pull that down if you need it. But if you don't have this key and you try to move a drive with BitLocker on it, it's a pain in the ass. So you have to turn it off to be able to move it, and it's just ugly. So, and yeah, you can run command line options in your PowerShell that will give you your configuration tools. It'll give you your passwords for your keys. If you're smart enough to remember to do this before you transfer hard drives, you can actually grab your key from your CLI if you need it. But yeah, so above you see the output on a freshly set up Windows 11 box. Has 2 protectors. The first is a recovery key, which is that one right there. This one here. That one. And then the second key is the TPM UUID, which is this one here. And yeah, so the encrypted or the decrypted VMK is all we really need to decrypt the drive. So if you have this one right here, you have everything you need of these 3 to be able to do anything. So apparently that's the most important key. Once you get the VMK, everything's done, right? And yeah, so you're going to learn a lot about BitLocker and how everything works. And this, like I said, this may be impetus for why Microsoft is suggesting moving to Windows 11, because if you have a dedicated TPM, you can, more secure your assets. Anything before 2010 that doesn't have a TPM on chip or a dedicated module, it's probably less secure. And I say probably is like, I'm not sure exactly how it's working on Windows 10 in that respect. So let's see, they say, how does the exploit work for BitPixie? In one of the bootloader's many flows, disk encryption keys are not deleted when fallback booting. Oops. This bug, known as BitPixie, was discovered in August 2022 by Rarey, but actually existed in Windows bootloader since October 2005, which would put it back in Windows 7 world? I think, yeah, Windows 7. So it's been in Windows 8, Windows 7, Windows 8, 8.1, 10, and now 11, because it's still in 11. Oh no, it was fixed in 2022. So, well, it's still in Windows 11, publicly disclosed in 2023. Okay, the wind needs to calm down a little bit. So due to some unfortunate design in the secure boot standard, it is still exploitable today. So there you go. Issue arises when a specific flow known as Pixie soft reboot. When a boot fails, this is supposed to load a recovery image via the network without fully restarting the system. Unfortunately, the bootloader forgot to wipe the VMK, the critical piece of data that unlocks BitLocker encrypted disk, before attempting this. As a result, VMK remains potentially accessible to any code loaded during and after the Pixie boot. Okay, so Pixie boot is when you're trying to install. It's a specific way of doing things. It's loading images over the network to be able to do Linux installs. I've done it with OpenBSD quite a bit. You have to actually have another server with a DHCP running on a network, so that when your box that you're wanting to Pixie boot reaches out and says, hey, I need an IP address, this one responds and says, hey, I have an IP address for you, and oh, by the way, I have a configuration for you, so download this and also pull this data, which is usually the install ISO for Linux. You can actually do it. Yeah, Pixie boot. Yeah, pre-execution environment, whatever. Pixie boot Linux. You can still do it to this day. You can actually still do Pixie boot for Linux. Yeah, Pixie boot, which makes sense why they call the vulnerability, what, BitPixie? Yeah, BitPixie. So, yeah, you can boot from a network interface card. It will, yeah, and you can do that in your BIOS. You can set it up to do PXE boot, so it'll automatically send out a Pixie boot request, and then it's looking for a config file. And then pull down those files. So I used to do it quite a bit. Yeah, you have a TFTP server. You can install TFTP server. Even in 2025, this stuff, and it works great if you've got it set up perfectly. I mean, you can reinstall OSs like nobody's business. And yeah, so here's your next server. So that would be where your Pixie boot is, and your DHCP con file and Ubuntu, specifying the range of the subnet and 2 lines. So the next server would be where your TFTP server is. And then the file you want to pull down from that server will be this file here. So the server will get a DHCP server. In your configuration file on the remote system, after it gets the IP, it's looking for this server to do a Pixie boot for, and then it will pull down this installation disk image and then do whatever it is you need to do. It's not that difficult. I had to read some instructions. I mean, it is difficult if you don't understand it, but there's numerous tutorials online on how to do that stuff. So just a heads up. Man, that smells good. I'm getting a grumbly in my tumbly. So yeah, the VMK doesn't get deleted. Great, shit. And apparently that remains in memory somewhere. What's it? Unfortunately, the bootloader forgot to provide that unlocks the BitLocker encrypted disk before attempting this. As a result, VMK remains potentially accessible to any code loaded during or after a Pixie boot. Okay. And why isn't this fixed? Great question. It is fixed in new bootloaders, but the situation is so simple. Recall that the TPM gives us the VMK if any legit Windows boots. Okay, so it's trapped in the TPM right now. Your VMK is trapped inside the TPM. If you boot even a somewhat legitimate version of Windows 11 or whatever, the TPM coughs up the key. Hey, GoPro Slow Yo, welcome. Awesome. Good to see you. Oh, wow, I got rated, y'all. We're talking about BitPixie, which is the Pixie boot vulnerability for UEFI systems. And yeah, welcome, y'all. Hope you enjoy. And yeah, GoPro inspired me to start recording, streaming again on Twitch. I'm actually simulcasting on YouTube and Twitch. So thanks again, GoPro. Shout out. I shouted you out earlier, but I'll give you another shout out because, you know, we can. GoPro Slow Yo. There you go. Oh, I have to wait another 11 minutes and 17 seconds before giving GoPro Slow Yo another shout out. Crap. Okay. So yeah, it will load any legitimate Windows ISO that is loaded in Pixie boot will make the TPM cough up the VMK and allow you to decrypt the device. So you don't even need a screwdriver to unplug this. You just need an Ethernet cable. You're going to need some way of, you know, the machine's got to have a NIC. So that you can actually plug the Ethernet in to a PXE boot server, like a Raspberry Pi or something like that even, and, you know, set everything up. It sounds like you will need access to the BIOS to be able to pull that out, or to do a Pixie boot. But I'm not sure if there's a couple of ways to get around it. I think somebody mentioned on Reddit, if you set a enter pin at boot. So, you know, to even boot up the system, you have to enter a pin. It's not always feasible in a lot of organizations. If you have, you know, people who are working remotely, they don't want to have to drive or fly 6 hours just to reboot a box. So, you know, the ability of, you know, setting a pin at boot on a regular machine is also kind of a pain in the ass. You know, they have to remember a pin or a password that they must put in just to be able to boot their box. So if you work from home, that would be something you'd want to turn off anyway. It'd be kind of a pain in the ass. But yeah, here you go. You can Pixie boot into a downgraded Docker instance. So if you've ever used Pixie, you might know that it's kind of a pain to set up. Yes, it is. At least I struggled in the past getting it to work on my home network. Thankfully, our scenario is a bit simpler. We only need 2 devices, the attacker device and the victim device. No full network is required. Instead, we'll set up a point-to-point link by connecting the devices via a LAN cable. So they're actually setting up, Doot. He said Doot loader. Doot loader. So you can leverage DNS Mask, a fantastic tool that bundles everything we need for this operation. So there you go. You've got everything. Here's your Linux command that you can use. And so on the attacker device, you start DNS Mask. You can choose a DHCP range and set DHCP boot to the file name or the downgraded bootloader. So yeah, downgraded bootloader, or and then enable TFTP to deliver all the necessary files. So yeah, that's great. See, you could try your luck with WinBindex. What's this? Okay, so these are EFI images for Windows boxes. You can pull those down if you want to. I've already posted the article, I think, but I'll post it again for everybody who's joined us just now. It is from neodyme.io. So there's the article. There we go. Doink. I'll post it up again here. I'm also posting it in our chat on YouTube for folks who might be watching it on the YouTubes. What's that? Beta Wolf, Beta Wolf. Oh, it's like old home day, you know. It's like I got all the regulars on here. Hey, Beta Wolf, good to see you, sir. Hope everything's fine. Sad that Windows 10 was supposed to be forever Windows. Yeah, you know, I think the marketing and sales folks were like, yeah, don't do that. Don't say that. You know, people made promises that didn't come to fruition, right? Working out lately. I actually, no, I've shortened my hair a little bit. I got a little more gray. Went on vacation. Got a new MacBook, so I've been futzing with the cameras a little bit. The webcam on the MacBook is actually quite good. First thing I did for my new MacBook was I bought a webcam cover. Weird. And you know, my lighting is you know, better now. So, but thank you for the compliment, Beta Wolf. I hope you're doing well as well and staying safe. So. Webcam covers, yes. I actually bought one for work, but it was a 2-pack, so I was like, well, I'll just go ahead and pop it on my brand new box. And the webcam for this is far superior to my Lenovo one, so I'm actually simplifying a bunch of things. I haven't used my Elgato Facecam Pro in a couple weeks, and I have my Logitech Brio that I'm going to be probably getting rid of as well. I'm donating a bunch of CPUs and a bunch of stuff to a charity down here in San Diego. So actually it's in Irvine, but yeah, I'm trying to simplify my environment, simplifying my network. So yeah, it should be integrated at this point. Yeah, the Lenovo is just garbage. I mean, the Lenovo i9, the webcam wasn't even good enough for Windows Hello, so that's why I had to use the Brio for Windows Hello on my streaming box. So yeah, I need to downsize as well. I've got at least two, my server, my streaming server. I have my old streaming server, which I can't get rid of. It's some hard iron. So the folks up at Irvine Underground, who I think did the snack machine at DEF CON. If you were at DEF CON last year, they did the snack machine in the villages. They use a lot of this stuff for, you know, projects. So, you know, between the big server that I've got there and the other server and my Lenovo i9 and a bunch and another laptop, they should have some stuff they can do. So you still have an AWS security webcam cover. Well, my boss was asking me, because when I would enable the webcam on my work computer, I was just using like a folded business card, so it was like looking all janky and hanging off the back. And he's like, look, just buy a couple of webcams covers and, you know, expense it if you need to. I was like, it's only like $6, so it's whatever. But yeah. Yeah. So, good write-up. It's a long read, but you're going to learn so much about how to, you know, if you're an IT person or you're a security person at work and somebody has completely screwed up their box, you need to transfer their data off of their encrypted BitLocker and they don't have a recovery key. As much as I hate to admit it, this would be a way to get that data for them legitimately. That way you can look like a a miracle worker. But this is a great write-up on all things, including BC Edit, which is a great command line option for working with some of the bootloader commands on Windows. But yeah, a lot of great screenshots. I love write-ups like this. I just geek out over these, even though I'm never going to do these things, but I understand them because I've had to run some BC Edit stuff in the past, modifying some, portions of my OS from time to time. It was also the reason I removed BitLocker on a lot of my stuff, because I was like, ooh, this is real janky. I don't want to lose some data on my laptop. So now, if I'd have just waited 5 years, I would have had this and would have known about Pixie Boos. So, yeah. What is this? You must agree to YouTube Terms of Service, FFZ Control Center, navigate to chat tools and tips. Okay. DEF CON 30, there you go. Okay. So the link GoPro Slow-Yo put up in there is from DEF CON 30. Yeah, hacker videos from Silk. So there you go. Just I did the clicking for you, so you can trust what he put up in there. So cool. Yeah. So one of the other things, let's see. This is this is the GitHub article about from the actual GitHub about BitLocker attacks. So if you don't have enough to talk about for BitLocker, there's a whole GitHub for GitHub. There we go. There you go. Hey, fix it. Oh man, everybody's here, all the regulars. Holy crap. So this was an article that I saw today from the folks who make curl. For those of you who aren't aware, curl is run in many IoT devices as a way of doing updates or pushing and pulling data. If you don't want to put an entire TCP, or if you don't want to run a lot of heavy stuff, curl is what a lot of devices use. A lot of open source uses for things like updates and what have you. So the article, he says it's dead. I said it's already been dead, but some people are coming to the realization that maybe CVSS has outlived its usefulness. I've had issues with it since it was CVSS 2.1. My issue is that it only really works if it fits a certain criteria. Coming from a vulnerability management background, been doing vulnerability management on and off for the past 20 years and now doing it in bug bounty. You see all these articles about, CVSS 10 and whatever, and, Cisco's blah, blah, blah. And as a math problem, X plus Y plus risk equals CVSS 10. It's great. If you are aware of everything that's in your environment and you can understand the impact. The problem we get with CVSS is all we get is the number, and CVSS 8527, 2024 8587 is a level 10, and it is in this library. I have often had issues and run into problems where it's like I don't have enough information to discern whether or not that's really a 10 or if it's a 3, if it affects us or if it doesn't affect us. And it depends on the vendor. If you're Oracle, you're shit out of luck, right? You usually have to go to some other system like OpenJDK, which shares a lot of the same code base, but if it's a specific module inside of Oracle, unless you have a support contract with them or the person who has the support contract, you're never going to get enough information to find out if an issue is actually really an issue. And a lot of times companies are not forthcoming with that information, and the only information you really get is from a reporter at Bleeping Computer or the Reg, and again, that information is very incomplete. So it really requires people to spend, I would say, wasted cycles to find out whether or not it actually addresses the issue. And in my time as a vulnerability management person, just patch was the moniker or the mantra that we used. Hey, you know what? It's easier just to patch it. As I started talking with teams, just patch can often cause more problems than patching. And so with regard to our good friend here at Daniel Hacks, which I've followed him for years on Twitters and everything, I'm doing great, Fix-It, thank you. I've already been complimented on my healthcare regimen that I'm working out apparently. Thank you, Beta Wolf, for that. I'm still blushing on the inside. But I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well too, Fix-It. Appreciate y'all. Yeah. Don't touch prod. It's working. Yeah. As I have gotten more mature about things, just patch all the things. And it's like, that sounds great until you patch it and it actually breaks something. And then it's like, was the security investment of just patching it to get, this CVSS 10 off your plate worth it, right? And this is where I come back to the, if you look at our startup here, when we stream, there is no absolutes in security. It's like just patch. When you say just, you're minimizing what needs to be done to actually do the patch. You're really not looking and doing proper research, but a lot of times there's not good research into that unless some place like OpenWall or other organizations have more information. You'll find out about a vulnerability that affects Ubuntu, but you'll have to go to Red Hat's website to find out the particulars of the thing. And a lot of times it's management has imposed SLAs on you that were stupid to implement in the first place. And so you're moving out of fear. Like, why is security taking 2 days to fix this CVSS 10? For things like a Cisco, where it's like if your admin's exposed or whatever to the internet, yeah, you should turn that off if you're not already doing that. Again, there may be a legitimate reason for that, but this is where you want to get in writing why that's a use case, those kinds of things. But back to our blog post from the gentleman here. He says that at the same time, the popularity of security scanners have increased significantly over the past few years. I don't want to say he's woefully inaccurate, because security scanners have been popular for the last 20 years. They haven't just significantly increased. I would say, if anything, security scanners have gotten more diverse. NPM scanners, dependency scanners, supply chain type attacks on those things. I'd say that there's more CVSSs because the scope has expanded beyond just curl or FFmpeg or what have you. Cool. All right. But yeah, so he says curl skips the CVSS because they've given up trying to use it for a severity score and its associated level, and has gone to a more granular low, medium, high, critical. They believe they're not tied to any calculator because we're intimately familiar with the code base and how it's used, which is great for curl. They're intimately familiar with that. Me, as Joe Nobody, who isn't intimately familiar with curl's stuff, I need to have that information. So I have no problem with them saying that something is critical or not. Yeah, almost every Pro Tool scanner has a dozen free versions on GitHub. Yeah, or if you're know enough programming, you can generate your own detections or something like that. My problem is when there is a curl vulnerability, which, more often than not, there ends up being one. Yeah, there's a few. Here's one in NetRC 2024 11053. Let me see. They have a bug bounty program, by the way, so if you do find a vulnerability in curl, they do pay out, which I did not know until I read this post, but they paid $500 for that vulnerability. It was a low, medium. Here's a high that got 4,500 US, 4,600 US, which was a SOX heap buffer overflow. So if you are looking to get into bug bounty, this might be a nice, safe way of doing it. Looks like they do pay out for all of them. I don't know if there's ones that have been submitted that they didn't, but the fact that they said they're a CNA now, which means they can issue their own CVEs, is quite interesting. One of the things that I have found that is, if a CNA is not interested in issuing a CVE for their own products, you might actually go to another CNA to have them do it. But yeah, it's... So yeah, that's not treated well, since we reserve and publish our own CVE IDs to the CVE database. There's no middleman interfering, and in fact, no one else can file. Oh, well, okay, so that's interesting. So they control whether or not they want to issue a CVE for something. That's good and bad. I did not know that they had that option now. However, it's built on the idea that every flaw has a CVSS score. When someone like us creates CVE entries without scores, that leaves something that apparently is considered a gaping sore in the system that needs to be fixed. So yeah, I think the CVSS scores have become more of a marketing tool now. If it's a 10, you're going to find it in every media article. Oh my God, the end is near. CVSS 10. Fix it now. Fix it now. Fix it now. And then we have to drop everything as security people or security teams or as IR teams on a Friday, usually. Fuckers. Vendors, when you submit things on Fridays, you're assholes, by the way. So just a heads up there. You're ruining people's weekends and, long hours and stuff when you do that kind of stuff. But anyway, so you're having to basically drop everything you're doing to find out if the CVSS 10 affects you. Without good information from these things, you're running into all kinds of problems. And so I would love for the CVSS scores to move to like a low, medium, high critical, or failing that, having a requirement that they must publish better documentation. And I'm looking at Oracle in this case, where everything is just kind of hidden behind a support contract that, and as a matter of fact, I call up Oracle because their CPU just loaded recently here. Oracle CPU. Yes, according to 318 flaws across all their major products. Yeah, so if you're using a lot of Oracle bullshit, like their Agile Product Lifecycle Management CVSS score 9.9 to be able to seize control of susceptible instances, yeah, they have, they're, between them and Microsoft, they're probably the worst every month. They're going to find a ton of shit. They have a lot of products, so they have a lot of vulnerabilities. So, but yeah, if you have, Tomcat server component issue, and there's so many things. It's like, okay, do we have, do we have Oracle Communications Policy Management? This is one of those things where you have to know what's going on inside those organizations to see what's happening. So yeah, their curl is out on CVSS. I think it's not dead. I think it just needs an overhaul to something other than a rating system of 0 to 10, because nobody cares about anything below a 5.5. To be honest, getting teams to fix lows and medium issues is like pulling teeth sometimes, unless you can show how 2 5.5s can equal a 10. I think that's the real. When you know that your vulnerability management organization in your company is doing better, where you can say, ignore this 10, look at these 3 4.0s, and know that you get cross-site scripting, which gets you this, which gets you this, which gets you root access. Never mind the level 10 issue there. So yeah. So. Turned out CISA decided that this should be having a 9.1 critical, and now scanners and news figured out that, or very soon. Curl team set the severity low because of the low risk and special set of circumstances that are a precondition for the problem. Yeah, the problem is we don't have that kind of impact. We don't know that information, which is why a lot of people are like, yeah, just patch that shit, right? And so, yeah, it's a fine thing with CVEs for open source products that the source is there to read and inspect as much as we like. Okay, great. So understanding the impact is very difficult. You can use as many calculators as you want, but yeah, when we get stuff that comes in, the first thing we look at is what's the impact? Can it affect, one customer, 100 customers? Can it affect an entire fleet? It may be a critical issue, but it will affect a singular device at a time, or it's a CVSS 10, but you have to be literally on the same network as me. You have to be sitting in the bushes outside my house, or down the street in a car, connected to the network. Yes, it's a 10, and it is impactful for one person. Does that make it a 10? In my opinion, no, not for our organization. If it affects 10,000 people, then yes, the impact is greater. I think, and that's a lot of what I feel like I'm missing on CVSS scores. Yeah, so anybody have any thoughts on that? Anybody still do vulnerability management at that scale? It's hard to scale, really, to be honest. Okay, good. The border fire is still just crazy. 150 acres. We got tankers running. A lot of smoke. UCSD's got alerts going on. So far, I'm still okay. There's no fires. The Gilman fire is the closest, and it looks like it's burned at 3 acres, and they're mopping up hotspots. So, Beta Wolf. Unfortunately, I had to for a bit, and we have our own internal high, medium, critical, etc. system. Yeah. 1 second. There we go. shut my door so I'm not yelling. But yeah, so yeah, you have to have your own, I think, internal CVSS where you can adjust accordingly. And MITRE's calculator is great, but it doesn't even work. I think a lot of people don't understand it necessarily, especially like things like scope changed and unchanged. It's like, it's odd. So if it's a 10, it may not necessarily be a 10 in your organization. If you've got 5 firewalls behind the thing that is supposedly CVSS 10, it's not a 10 anymore. If it requires, I argue, especially when we get things like bug bounty, if it requires user intervention, yeah, somebody's going to get a fish, but what's the outcome of that? Yeah, you can gain access to their system. Okay, one person, right? And impact is going to be different for everybody. If one person is one too many, then yeah, that's a problem. If, like going back to our heart-lung machine, there's a CVSS there of a 10, where the heart-lung machine that we talked about earlier stops when in operation. That's a 10. That's 10-10. I mean, because that's going to impact that one person in a really bad way. I mean, that's death, right? You kind of need to have your own internal CVSS. Security people, I think, like to use CVSS as a hammer, which does you a disservice in many cases. Because if you just say, well, bleeping computer said blah, you need to patch all these things, that's your non-security people are going to look at you and go, look, we have a firewall, we have this, we have patches, we don't even know what doing this patch is going to do. So when you're looking at it, and if you use that, oh, we have an SLA of 5 days and we've got to fix a critical in 5 days, unless you are actively under attack, which you should have some break glass measures there, but you need to think about the business side of things. Because, like I said, if you tell them to patch this thing and it causes a performance issue where, SLA causes you money, or breaks something, or they reboot the box and it doesn't come back up, now you're looking at millions of dollars for, something that may not have actually been an issue. So, anyway, unfortunately, when the CVE dropped, I was on that. Yeah, we had I remember an OpenSSL CVE that came out that was supposed to be critical, and then like just before it was going to be announced, they had dropped it from a critical to a medium, and we had 15 people on a call waiting for the bulletin to drop, so that we had pre-positioned ourselves, because this was like the next Heartbleed is how it was being written up in the news. And it was like, we're waiting for this thing, and all of a sudden 2 minutes before shit happens, and it was misreported and we're dropping it into a medium. And we're like, wow, this was a $100,000 phone call, we were waiting for this to happen, and it's like, it was one of those things where it felt like if you didn't patch it immediately, you're already owned or whatever. And so this is where things like visibility into your environment, talking with your developers on, understanding which libraries your developers are using. SBOMs are there for, we're trying to get SBOMs for a reason. If you're using curl, and you know that it is a vital function of your update functionality, or it's how your system is using FFmpeg, for instance. A lot of systems use FFmpeg. You'd be surprised. Looking through and understanding what your environment uses, so that way you can go in and go, okay, I know it's in X, Y, and Z. It's a 10 for them, but it's not for us. And if you can be smart about that and go in, and your CEO or your boss's boss or your skip's like, I just saw, Cranky Pants 105, and, it's like, oh, everything's going to die. You'd be like, hold up, bruh. I got this. We have these 3 systems. It's not a huge deal for us. Don't worry about it. Go back to bed. If you can have that kind of confidence, you can walk up with that, that kind of swagger and say, I know what I'm doing. I know these things. You're good. You're better than the just patch this thing. Oh my God, the sky is falling. And so, yeah. But anyway, I see this all the time. I see this in a lesser extent, like bug bounties, very similar to like CVEs, except, it's like you run into problems where somebody will submit an XSS and they're like, oh, this allows for blah, blah, blah. They actually didn't test that XSS to see if blah, blah, blah could occur, but they're trying to get an extra payment. So, oh, this is uber critical. I'll be able to do X, Y, and Z. Prove to me that you can actually commit what you're saying you can do, and we'll give you that. Otherwise, we have to verify internally that is legitimately a critical issue that requires us to pay you $20,000 versus the $500 for a piece of shit nothing burger, which it's interesting. They're not O-days, but they're definitely interesting. Not just from a bug bounty point of view, but from a proto like CVE thing. But anyway, yeah, it's been a week. I'm hoping that our kitty is going to last a few more months. I wanted to record today because I didn't do it on Monday, I didn't do it on Tuesday, I didn't do it on Wednesday, and it's Thursday. And we're going to be on Sunday night. Mr. Betcher, Miss Berlin, and myself will be doing our first show of the 2025 season. And if you have ideas for people to have on for interviews, I think I hit my 15 interview goal last year. I think I did pretty good. We want to have Mick Douglas back on again because he's working on some AI models. I'm actually actively pursuing my AI certification because I think as a security person, I need to understand all the new technology. And I don't want to be one of them folks. I was stupid when the IoT stuff came in. I don't want any IoT in my house. Unless you use it, you don't actually understand how people use it. And so when vulnerabilities come in or you start working with teams that develop IoT, you don't understand what it takes to actually build an IoT device. They're insecure because we have really skilled people that can hack on them. So my thought was I'm going to get an IoT, or not an IoT, but an AI certification. So I'm looking at other organizations that do training for that. My organization actually does some AI training, so I'm looking at doing something internally. But I would suggest if you want to find a job or make yourself more marketable in the 2025 world, a lot of jobs in InfoSec are asking about ML and AI, and if you can get any sort of certification or any kind of experience with dealing with that, if you built your own or whatever, if you've got something in a lab at home where you're playing with a llama or something like that, find ways that you can advertise it on GitHub. Like, I did this and I'm, building out this thing, or I built an image generator or whatever. Build those skills because AI is not going anywhere. I'm not saying it's like blockchain. I think it's got different uses than the blockchain. I know that when blockchain came out, everybody was like, "Oh, we must embrace the blockchain." AI will exist in some form. I don't know if it's going to be exactly what everybody thinks it's going to be, and I keep reading about a bubble that's coming for that. And I don't know what that's going to look like, but I think it will continue to exist in some form. So in 2025, I'm going to be getting me a new certification because I am always learning. And I would suggest doing the same. There are many options out there. I think there's Azure training for that. Let's see, AI certifications. And yes, I know some people feel bad about certifications. There you go. AI certifications are a waste of time. My argument would be by the time you certify for this one thing, they're going to change or they're going to pivot. So it's like when Docker and containerization was the new hotness. It was like you could get a certification in Docker and then next week you'd be completely, out of certification or whatever. But I think having a good background kind of certification and, here's some machine learning courses from Google. All the big three, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, they're all going to have training on this stuff. And having at least a basic, having it in your resume couldn't be bad. Like I've taken this AI training, and so you can talk about it in a, I know what hallucinations are, or I know how to, make an AI do this, or if there's an AI village at DEF CON and Black Hat or any of your favorite organizations, or if you at our B-sides where somebody's going to be speaking about it, I would pick their brain as much as you can to understand that. Yeah, good job, Fix It. Yeah, AI lectures today. Yeah, anything that you can show that, hey, I've taken this course, I've spent this amount of time, I've attended this AI conference. I think SANS has some stuff on AI that they were doing recently that might be free. By the way, if you're looking for CPEs, SANS, yeah, there you go. They have a training and resources for things like that. So they've got webcasts on these things, so you can go and listen to these people, talk about these issues. But yeah, so I mean, you don't have to take a SANS course unless you have the budget for it. I would say if your organization is building an AI product or something that has AI embedded in it, I would argue that you should be able to take courses and justify that as part of the operating expense. Like, I need to be able to help you understand these things, or help you, work these better, or understand the basic concepts. There are, other than SANS, I'm sure there's other courses as well. Here's the AI Summit. There you go. So interactive workshops, live demonstrations. This is 31 to April 1. They're online, so I'm actually probably going to sign up for this one in August or in April. So the summits are online, and I think they're free for the most part. You can listen to the talks, but the training is obviously more expensive. But yeah, they're online, and you're gonna get a 2-day SANS summit that should be free if you're doing it online, and yeah, you get some stuff. Cool. Oh, Fix It. If you got a link, hook that up. I would love to poke around and listen to what Murray's Institute of Tools? No, Murray's instructional tools or something. No, I'm just kidding. I know what MIT is. But yeah, if you've got that link, please feel free to share that, and I'll get that out. But yeah, so you're gonna apply AI in cybersecurity. So there you go. On day 1, you'll learn how to use AI in your workplace. There's gonna be various talks and workshops, and yeah, it should be free. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and sign up for this now if it's available. So no. Let's see, Summit. Register for Summit. There you go. So yeah, see, it's the AI Summit is free online. What happens is you join a Slack channel with like track 1 and track 2. You can ask questions of the speakers, and it's over Zoom. So yeah, and otherwise you can go to get your Sec 504 or 595, and yeah, do that. If you go in person, it's $525, which actually isn't bad. If you want to go to where is this located? Where will this be located? It is in Denver. Oh, McDouglas will be there. Oh, that'd be nice. Good for him. Yeah, Denver, Colorado. Ew. Okay. Well, Denver's not awful. But yeah, so, and you get 12 CPEs. So if you have a CISSP, or if you have a CISA, or you have a SANS certification, which is another thing that I need to worry about, these will count towards your SANS certifications. So you can get some stuff for free. Oh, thanks, Fix It. There we go. MIT Introduction to Deep Learning. Ah, there you go. I'll post this up to the YouTube channel as well. And there we go. That way everybody's got those as well. So cool. Well, yeah. First real day back after my on-site. Hope everyone had a good time. Thank you to all the new people. I can't say that it's going to be this awesome every day. I'm actually still trying to get back into malware, my Proxmox and malware sandboxes. Just got my setup fixed with my MacBook and everything. But if you've got any thoughts on that, I'm trying to learn Python again, because part of the AI and ML stuff is everybody's doing shit in Python. So I'm going to attempt to try Python again. I'm open to any ideas on, tutorials or anything that might actually be good. Yes, Beta Wolf, I did in fact get a brand new MacBook M4 Max. Hopefully it will last me more than a couple years. What's boot.dev? durst I click on it. And why did it go over here? Learn back-end development the smart way. Okay. So, welcome to the most captivating, finger-flying, addictive way to learn code. Is this going to be like an RPG? That would be kind of cool. See, I was trying to figure out a way of doing it other than read a book and look at a lot of text and you know, whatever. Demo the course. Let's go demo the course. Write some code. Okay. Building a fantasy quest. We're going to build a text-based fantasy adventure called Fantasy Quest in this course. Okay. Okay. I'm cool with the gamification. Anything I can do to make it not suck would be most ideal. Yeah. So that's very cool. All right. Boot.dev. You can actually demo the first 4 chapters. Okay, well, we'll demo the first 4 chapters. If anything, it's a nice advertisement for them. I don't have any sponsors, I have very few subscribers, so I appreciate that. Some of the folks behind boot.dev are good. Well, there you go. Thank you, Walt. There's my second opinion. So between you and Beta Wolf, you know, y'all are killing it. So boot.dev, y'all. Boot.dev. All right, so boot.dev. Just another one for everybody in the YouTube channel. But anyway, so I will be back on Sunday. Mr. Betcher, Miss Berlin, and myself will be here. We'll probably talk about some more news. I want to talk about Miss Berlin. She's had some developments that are very exciting. Very exciting. I'm very happy for her. If you follow her on Facebook, you've probably seen them. But yeah, a lot of good things are happening for her, and I'm very happy, and we'll talk about some of those as well. But yeah, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, we'll be online and raring to go. So thanks to everybody. Thanks for GoPro again. Oh, wait, let's see if I can get a proper shout out this time. Let's see. Oh, son of a bitch. There we go. GoPro slow, There we go. Finally. There we go. One more shout out to GoPro. Hope we get to see a DEF CON or, you know, some B-sides or something. That'd be great. So anyway, take care, y'all, and we'll talk on Sunday. So thanks again, and yeah, have a great day. Take care of yourselves. There's a lot of hate going on out there. I won't lie. I don't know what is going to fucking happen to the United States in the next 4 years, but you know, try to find the positive in things. Try to find the good in people. You know, tell people you love them, and take care of yourself, because as I'm fond of saying around here, you're the only you've got. And so take care, y'all. Bye. We'll see you Sunday. Later.